Why do people use logical fallacies in debates? Imagine you're in a lively discussion, and suddenly someone throws out a statement that seems convincing but doesn't quite add up. Why do people do that? Well, it turns out many use logical fallacies to make their argument seem stronger or more persuasive, even if their reasoning is flawed. Logical fallacies are errors in reasoning that weaken the actual argument, but they can be very effective at distracting or confusing others. Recognizing why people use these fallacies helps you develop skills in civic and critical thinking, as well as problem solving. Some fallacies are used intentionally to steer the conversation away from weak points. For example, a red herring fallacy introduces an unrelated topic to divert attention from the real issue. This tactic makes it harder for others to focus on the actual argument, giving the person using it extra time or space to strengthen their position. People also use fallacies to appeal to emotions or what is popular, instead of facts. The bandwagon fallacy, for instance, claims that something must be true because many people believe it. Since humans tend to follow group opinions, this can be very persuasive, even if the belief isn't based on logic. Another common reason is to misrepresent an opponent's position through a straw man fallacy. This involves exaggerating or simplifying what someone else says so it's easier to attack. By doing this, the person can make their own argument seem more valid, even though they haven't addressed the real issue. Sometimes fallacies happen because of poor reasoning habits. For example, jumping to conclusions based on little evidence, known as a hasty generalization, or assuming that one thing causes another without proof, called a slippery slope. These mistakes can happen without intention but still weaken the overall argument. Understanding why fallacies are used helps you become a better thinker. When you can spot these tricks, you avoid being misled and can respond with clear, logical points. This skill is useful not just in debates but also in everyday conversations, making decisions, and evaluating information. When people use fallacies, they often want to persuade or manipulate others, but knowing how to recognize them keeps you in control of the discussion. In the end, people use logical fallacies because they can make arguments seem more convincing, distract from weak points, appeal to emotions or popularity, or because of faulty reasoning. Learning to identify these fallacies gives you practical tools to think clearly, argue effectively, and make smarter choices in many parts of life.